The spark in the dark. Welcome back to Beyond Words. I am Sayanta Paul with all of you. In our last episode, we talked about what literature is and why, in a world obsessed with speed, algorithms, and endless screens, it still matters. Today, I want to take you a step further. I want to pull back the curtain on how literature actually works when it touches something deep inside us. Have you ever read a line of poetry or a single sentence in a novel that made you physically pause? You were just staring at black ink on a white page or pixels on a screen, but suddenly your chest tightens. You feel a chill. For a split second, the room around you blurs and you are somewhere entirely else, standing on the edge of a dark, silent ocean or watching a strange rainfall on a city you have never visited. How do mere words do that? The collision of two words. The answer lies in a collision between two words that we are taught to keep separate. The cold, precise reality of science and the fluid, boundless realm of surrealism. We often think of science and literature as rivals. Science is facts, data, and structure. Literature is emotion, myth, and free verse. But the true magic happens when they bleed into each other. When you take the rigid language of physical world and use it to map the chaotic in human soul. Think about it. We are biological entities. Our hearts beat because of electrical impulses. Our bodies are governed by cellular codes, by microscopic tensions, by an unseen intricate choreography. But we don't live our lives as data. We live our lives as feeling. When a writer wants to describe a broken heart, they could say, I am sad. But that's ordinary. It doesn't stick to the ribs. Instead, what happens if we look at grief through a surreal biological lens? How do we describe it as a heavy, dark atmosphere that shifts into the spaces between our thoughts, changing the rhythm of our breath, making our very pulse feel foreign? This is the power of experimental writing. It is taking the concrete world and melting it into the abstract. The art of the surreal and the free verse. When I write poetry, especially when exploring free verse, I find myself obsessed with transitions. The stacked, fragile moments where the waking world ends and the dream begins. Surrealism in literature is not just about being strange for the sake of being strange. It is actually about honesty. Because human emotions are not linear, they are not neat. When you experience deep anxiety or intense love or existential wonder, your mind doesn't think in a straight line. It moves like a free verse poem, fragmented, vivid, jumping from a physical sensation to a random memory from 10 years ago. Let's look at an example. Imagine a character standing in the middle of a crowded room, but they feel completely isolated. A conventional writer tells you about the noise of the crowd. A surrealist writer tells you that the room suddenly filled with water, that the voices become muffled, distorted waves, that the character is floating, suspended in a quiet, heavy current, while everyone else is walking on the floor. Suddenly, the listener does not just understand isolation, they feel the weight of the water, they feel the lack of air. A moment of reflection. As readers and creators, we are all just searching for a language that can articulate our internal chaos. The world outside can be incredibly rigid. It demands that we fit into boxes, that we speak in clear, predictable sentences. that we keep our feet firmly on the ground. But literature allows us to look at the cracks in the pavement and imagine what is growing underneath. It allows us to take the language of our everyday existence and twist it until it mirrors our deepest, most unspoken truths. Whether you are analyzing a classical masterpiece or writing a raw experimental line of poetry late at night in your notebooks, you are just participating in this grand tradition of rewriting reality. You are going beyond the surface. You are going beyond words into the next chapter. For this episode's creative spark, I want to leave you with a question to carry into your week. If you had to describe your current mood, not with an emotion, but with a weather pattern, a physical texture, or a scientific process, what would it be? Think about it, write it down. Let it be a bit strange. And thank you for joining me for episode 3 of Beyond Swords. If you enjoyed this journey into a surreal, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a fellow wanderer of literature. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and keep looking for the poetry hidden in the ordinary. I am Sayanta Paul. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening.